Hello, Elder Smith here, and today I'd like to continue where we left off in Genesis, and we shall read from the 23rd chapter. And Sarah was 127 years old. These were the years of the life of Sarah. And Sarah died in Kirjath-arba, the same as Hebron, in the land of Canaan. And Abraham came to mourn for Sarah and to weep for her. And Abraham stood up from before his dead and spake unto the sons of Heth, saying, I am a stranger and a sojourner with you. Give me a possession of a burying place with you, that I may bury my dead out of my sight. And the children of Heth answered Abraham, saying unto him, Hear us, my lord. Thou art a mighty prince among us. In the choice of our sepulchre bury thy dead. None of us shall withhold from thee his sepulchre, but that thou mayest bury thy dead. And Abraham stood up and bowed himself to the people of the land, even to the children of Heth. And he communed with them, saying, If it be your mind that I should bury my dead out of my sight, hear me and entreat for me to Ephron, the son of Zohar, that he may give me the cave of Machpelah, there, I think I pronounced it right this time. Names are always hard for me to pronounce in the scriptures, as I've mentioned before. Which is in the end of his field, for as much money as it is worth, he shall give it me for a possession of a burying place amongst you. And Ephron dwelt among the children of Heth. And Ephron the Hittite answered Abraham in the audience of the children of Heth, even of all that went in the gate of his city, saying, Nay, my lord, hear me. The field give I thee, and the cave that is therein I give it thee, in the presence of thy sons, of the sons of my people give I it thee. Bury thy dead. This shows how much respect Abraham has gained throughout this whole land and everywhere he has traveled. These people were willing to give him any possession he desired when it came to the land. All he asked for was for a cave, and he was willing to buy it. But Ephron said, nay, he was willing to give him the whole field and the cave. Abraham was so well respected at this time that people were willing to not only give him whatever he asked for, but they were willing to give him more. This is how blessed he truly was. And Abraham bowed down himself before the people of the land, and he spake unto Ephron in the audience of the people of the land, saying, But if thou wilt give it, I pray thee hear me. I will give thee money for the field. Take it of me, and I will bury my dead there. And Ephron answered Abraham, saying unto him, My lord, hearken unto me. The land is worth 400 shekels of silver. What is that betwixt me and thee? Bury therefore thy dead. And Abraham hearkened unto Ephron, and Abraham weighed to Ephron the silver which he had named in the audience of the sons of Heth, 400 shekels of silver. Current money with the merchant. And the field of Ephron, which was in Machpelah, which was before Mamre, the field and the cave which was therein, and all the trees that were in the field, that were in all the borders round about, were made sure unto Abraham for a possession in the presence of the children of Heth, before all that went in at the gate of his city. And after this, Abraham buried Sarah, his wife, in the cave of the field of Machpelah, before Mamre, the same is Hebron, in the land of Canaan, and the field and the cave that is therein were made sure unto Abraham for a possession of a burying place by the sons of Heth. By this time, Abraham has had a long journey. He just lost his wife, and even now, his life, he's old now. He still has some time before him, but not a lot of time. He went from being a man who lived with his family, his father, in a land far from where he is living now. Out of nowhere, God called unto him, telling him to get himself and his wife, take Lot and a few possessions with him, and leave. And he would show him a land that he would give unto him. God showed him that land, but even then, Abraham was not meant to stay in that land for the rest of his life. He was meant to continue to sojourn. He was meant to continue to travel. He was a man that technically, though he had that land for a promised land, he was a man without a home. Does that sound familiar to any of you? We who are in this world are without a home. This world is not our home. A home is a place that you can live in forever, for eternity. But no matter where you go in this world, even if you spend your whole life in one place on this earth, sooner or later, your life will cease. And when it does, you'll no longer be in this world. You will be in your eternal home then, because it'll be a place you will never have to leave. When you're home, you're not traveling. You are in a place of rest. You are in a place where you don't need to go anywhere else. Just as Abraham was a sojourner for the majority of his whole life, we are sojourners in this world. No place, even the place we spend our entire life at, if there is a place where some of you may spend your whole life at, even that place is not your home, because it's not eternal. But we are blessed with a home that we know we will be in someday. That right there is what Abraham represents. God chose him. God called to him. When you read that, the first part where it brings up Abraham, only back then he was Abram. Did Abram go to God and then God tell him to go and leave? Or did God go to Abram first? According to the scriptures, It was God that went to Abram and called unto him and told him to leave, and he would show him a land. And likewise, when God established his covenant with Abram, during the time when he changed his name to Abraham, and he commanded that he and his family, he and all the sons and the men under his roof should be circumcised. When did God make the promise that he would give him that land and that his seed would be his people? Was that promise made before Abraham was circumcised or after? It was before, and that plays a huge role in not only Abraham's life, but ours as well, because it shows that the promise was established before the covenant itself. God has made all of us a promise. We may not all be the people of Israel, of the natural kingdom, but we are all new creatures made in Christ. All of you who have that desire to follow after God. Did God make that promise to all of you after you gained that desire to follow after him, or before? It was before. Just as God made his promise to Abraham before he established that covenant. That's important to remember, because it is through the promise that God has made, it is through the love he had for us first that caused that is what moves us to follow after him. Because if God made the promise first, if God loved us before that, that means he touched our hearts. He has put his spirit into us. That's him coming to us first, just as he went to Abraham first. God has only one plan. It's a huge plan. And I don't want to say it branches out, but it is pretty elaborate in a lot of ways, because it's so deep. It's something that we can't fully understand 100%, and yet at the same time, we understand enough to rejoice over it, to rejoice in it. That through it, we have the understanding that we were born into this world. We were born sinners. We were born cut off from God. But did God cast us away? No. God made a promise to Adam and Eve that he would someday send down his only begotten Son to fulfill the law, to take on this punishment so that we wouldn't have to take it, so that through his blood we are bought with a price. And God didn't just end it there. Even after that promise was made, God comes into our lives. He comes to us. He puts his spirit into us. He touches our hearts. And through that, we are given the ability then to defy our human nature. Not completely to the point where we are perfect, though God does see us now as perfect beings, because he sees us through his Son. But also, but it does give us the ability to make it so we can follow after the Spirit. For the flesh rejects God because the flesh is with sin, but the Spirit is perfect. And God is a spirit, and he can only be worshipped in spirit and in truth. Part of the truth is we may live here on the earth, but it's not our home. We're just sojourners, just as Abraham is a sojourner. Well, was a sojourner. He's home now. He's in his eternal home now, as we will all be someday. And I believe this will be it for tonight's video. Remember to study, to show thyself approved, rightfully dividing the word, put on the whole armor of God, and fight the good fight.